injured in the same house a Copperas Cove woman was found dead in has been arrested himself in connection to the case. 37-year-old Kevin Frazier is charged with murder and aggravated assault. On April the 7th, police in Copperas Cove responded to a home on Hobby Road after someone from the residence called 911 and then hung up. When they got there, they found 33-year-old Destiney Carey dead from a gunshot wound. Frazier was also suffering from a gunshot wound but survived. After an investigation, police have now charged Frazier with Carey's death. He's in the Coryell County Jail tonight with a bond of $1.7 million.
A desperate 911 call. A woman screams. Police at the door. Seconds later, gunshots. When officers finally forced their way inside, 33-year-old Destiney Carey lay motionless on the floor, bleeding out. The man responsible, her own husband. But the most shocking detail? Police were right there when it happened. Destiney was a successful businesswoman, a nurse, and a devoted mother of 6. She had spent years building a future, not just for herself, but for the children who depended on her. But in a matter of moments, that future was stolen. The man who ended her life, Kevin Frazier, was a U.S. Army staff sergeant, a man many would have called disciplined and honorable. But jealousy and control had taken root, and Destiney's growing independence had become a threat. As her world expanded, his grip tightened. And when he could no longer control her, he decided no one would. On the afternoon of April 7, 2022, a 911 hang-up call sent police rushing to a home in Copperas Cove, Texas. Dispatchers heard a woman's desperate cries before the line went dead. Officers arrived within minutes, but what they witnessed next would leave the entire community in shock. Destiney wasn't just murdered, she was murdered in the presence of law enforcement. The officers heard her final screams. They stood just outside the door as the fatal shots were fired. And now the biggest question remains, how did this happen? Why didn't they stop it? Before we continue, take a moment to subscribe to this channel. Here we bring you the most shocking true crime cases, high-profile murder trials, and mysterious disappearances that still haunt investigators today. If you want detailed investigations and gripping storytelling that uncover the truth behind the world's most chilling crimes, hit that like button and subscribe. Nestled in central Texas, the city of Copperas Cove is known for its quiet suburban streets, strong military presence, and tight-knit community. Located near Fort Cavazos, formerly Fort Hood, it's home to thousands of service members and their families, people accustomed to discipline, structure, and order. It's the kind of place where neighbors look out for each other, where crimes make headlines not because they're common, but because they're rare. That's why, when news broke of a brutal murder unfolding in real time, while police were standing just outside the door, it sent shockwaves through the community. This was not the kind of crime anyone expected in Copperas Cove. And Destiney Carey was not the kind of woman anyone expected to become a victim. Destiney wasn't just living, she was thriving. At 33 years old, she had built a life that many only dreamed of. By day, she worked as a dedicated nurse, caring for those in need. But her ambitions stretched far beyond the walls of a hospital. She was a self-made entrepreneur, the proud owner of 2 growing businesses that she had built from the ground up. Her passion, fashion. Through her boutique, High Saturday Boutique, she didn't just sell clothes, she designed them. Local models wore her creations, her social media was filled with stylish pieces, and she often modeled her own designs. She had built a brand, a name, a future. And she did all of this while being a devoted mother to 6 children. Those who knew her described her as unstoppable, a woman who refused to be held back by anything. Her daughter called her a fighter. Her friends called her an inspiration. Her clients called her a visionary. But behind the bright lights of her success, a much darker reality was unfolding. Destiney had spent years building a life of independence and ambition, but the one person who should have supported her resented her success the most. Her husband, Kevin Frazier, was a 37-year-old U.S. Army veteran and staff sergeant. On the outside, he was the image of discipline and strength, but behind closed doors, his love was suffocating, his devotion was dangerous. It didn't start with violence. It started with control. At first, it seemed like concern. Where are you? Who are you talking to? Why are you dressed like that? But concern turned to possession. He monitored her movements. He questioned her independence. He saw her success as a threat, not an achievement. As her fashion empire grew, so did his jealousy. Destiney was breaking free, and Kevin couldn't handle it. Looking back, the signs of danger were there. Friends noticed how he would hover over her, always watching. Family members saw how he would question every move she made. But like many victims of coercive control, Destiney pushed forward, believing she could handle it. Then came the final warning. On the morning of April 7, 2022, just hours before she was murdered, Destiney posted a chilling message on Facebook. Stop letting people have so much power over you. A plea for help? A final act of defiance? No one knows for sure. But by the end of that day, Kevin Frazier would make sure that Destiney Carey would never leave him. For years, Kevin Frazier presented himself as the ideal partner, a hardworking U.S. Army staff sergeant and devoted family man. To those on the outside, his life with Destiney Carey seemed picture-perfect. But appearances can be deceiving. While Destiney's friends and family saw a woman on the rise, Kevin saw something else, a woman slipping beyond his control. Kevin wasn't the type to explode in public or lash out where others could see. Instead, his control was calculated and quiet. He didn't tell Destiney not to work, he just made her feel guilty about it. He didn't say she couldn't travel for business, he just made it difficult. He never forbade her from making decisions, he just questioned every choice she made until she second-guessed herself. Kevin wanted Destiney to believe she needed him. At first, she played along, smoothing things over to keep the peace. But the more independent she became, the tighter his grip became. Destiney was building something on her own terms. She wasn't just a mother, a nurse, or a wife. She was an entrepreneur, a woman with ambition and a vision for the future. Kevin saw that as a threat. To him, her success wasn't a win, it was a challenge. And the more she succeeded, the more his resentment grew. If she stayed late at her boutique, he had a problem with it. If she attended networking events, he accused her of neglecting the family. If she posted about her achievements online, he reminded her who had supported her all these years. Kevin had always been the one in control. Now he wasn't, and that terrified him. Those closest to Destiney began noticing changes. She stopped talking about Kevin as much. She started spending less time at home. She became more protective of her plans, her dreams, her future. Most telling of all, she started setting boundaries. And Kevin hated that. For a man like him, losing control wasn't an option. So, he did what abusers always do. He escalated. He started showing up unexpectedly. He began accusing her of things she never did. His anger became harder to contain. Then came the moment everyone would later recognize as the final warning sign. A year before she died, Destiney posted a message on Facebook. So I called KPD around 11 a.m. today because my husband, soon-to-be ex, said he will kill me and my children today. He chased me down Foothood RD/veterans trying to smash my truck until I drove him to an on-duty officer. So I'm confused as to why would KPD show up for a vehicle that's not his only through aka marital property. Which is fine, you can have the whip, we all know who paid for the car. But where my problem comes in at where you think you can threaten me and my children's life and plot on things you absolutely didn't pay a $1 on. This is why I tell y'all all the time to watch who you go out here and marry. Now a broke person that haven't helped you with anything over 10 years now think you owe him some while he was cheating for years on deployments. I worked my ass off day and night for everything. My businesses you don't even have a clue of because he haven't invested a penny into them. Nothing can help you in court or at Ken Paxton office. Just know nothing can take my happiness or peace at this moment, not even a car. Eviction, charges, and restraining order is in place. Don't ask me shit about marriage, will not no other leech get to me. Wasn't just a post. It was a cry for help. By April 2022, Destiney was ready to move forward. She had her businesses, her children, and her dreams. Kevin wasn't part of that future, and he knew it. On April 7th, when Destiney called 911, she wasn't just calling for help. She was trying to escape. What happened next would shock an entire community. And the most haunting part? Police were there when it happened. April 7th, 2022. A call for help that came too late. It was just after noon in Copperas Cove, Texas, a quiet city known for its proximity to Fort Cavazos, formerly Fort Hood, one of the largest military bases in the country. The area had a strong military presence, with many active duty personnel and veterans settling down here with their families. On the surface, it seemed like a peaceful place to build a future. But inside one home on Hobby Road, peace had already been shattered. At 12:25 p.m., a 911 call came into the Copperas Cove Police Department. At first, it seemed like a pocket dial, just muffled sounds in the background. But then, they heard it. A woman's scream. A loud crash, maybe furniture being thrown? Then, silence. The call disconnected. Dispatchers tried to call back immediately. No answer. A disconnected 911 call with screams wasn't something officers could ignore. Within minutes, a unit was dispatched to the home. The officers arrived at the single-story house and immediately noticed something off. The neighborhood was eerily quiet, but as they stepped out of their patrol cars, they could hear faint noises coming from inside the house. A woman's pleading voice. A man's low, commanding tone. Then, silence again. The officers knocked. No answer. They knocked again, harder this time. From inside the house, they heard Kevin Frazier's voice. "Wait." He told them to stay outside. That was when they heard it, Destiney's terrified screams. She wasn't just in trouble. She was fighting for her life. The officers knew they couldn't wait. They moved to force entry. And then gunshots. The shooting, and the moment police witnessed a murder. As the officers broke through the door, a barrage of bullets ripped through the air. One officer was hit by shrapnel. The team returned fire, forcing Frazier to the ground and subduing him before he could keep shooting. And then, as the smoke cleared, they saw her. Destiney Carey was dying, and police saw it happen. On the floor, Destiney lay motionless. Blood pooled around her, spreading across the floor of the home she had built for her family. She had been shot multiple times at point-blank range. Her chest rose and fell faintly, then slowed. The officers rushed to her side. One of them immediately started CPR. "Stay with me," they shouted, trying to keep her conscious. But her body was already failing. The gunshot wounds were too severe. Within minutes, Destiney Carey was pronounced dead at the scene. She had called for help. Police had been right outside her door. And yet, she still didn't make it out alive. Kevin Frazier's arrest and the haunting reality. As officers handcuffed Kevin Frazier, he didn't resist. He didn't fight back. He just stared blankly, because in his mind, he had already won. Destiney had been planning to leave. She was moving on with her life, reclaiming her independence. And for a man like Frazier, a man who needed control, this was unacceptable. So he did the one thing he thought would stop her forever. He killed her. But what he didn't plan for was the aftermath. As the investigation continued, one question haunted the public. Why didn't police stop it? They were right there. They had a chance to intervene. Yet Destiney still died. Critics questioned, should officers have forced entry sooner? Could more have been done to prevent the murder? How did a domestic violence situation escalate into a killing right in front of police? Authorities defended their actions, stating that the timeline unfolded in mere seconds. But to many, that wasn't enough. Because at the end of the day, Destiney Carey was dead, and her 6 children were now motherless. In the days after the murder, Destiney's final social media post resurfaced. "Stop letting people have so much power over you." It was a chilling message, one that, in hindsight, seemed like a desperate warning. Destiney had known she was in danger. She had felt the weight of Frazier's control, but she had no idea that just hours after posting those words, she would be gone. And the most devastating part? It didn't have to end this way. As of March 2025, Kevin Frazier remains in jail, awaiting trial. His case serves as a chilling reminder of how control, jealousy, and violence can turn deadly. And how, even when help is just outside the door, sometimes it's still not enough. Prosecutors wasted no time in making their stance clear. This was not a crime of passion. It was premeditated murder. Court filings allege that Frazier had planned the attack well in advance. While no official restraining order was in place, friends and family claimed that Destiney had feared for her safety for months. Prosecutors pointed to her final Facebook post, written just hours before her murder. "Stop letting people have so much power over you." Was she speaking about Frazier? The timing was hard to ignore. Prosecutors argued that Destiney had been desperately trying to break free from his control, and Frazier knew it. He refused to let her go, and when he realized he was losing his grip, he resorted to deadly violence. Despite overwhelming evidence against him, Frazier pleaded not guilty. His defense team suggested that he acted in the heat of the moment, claiming emotional distress and PTSD from his time in the military. But prosecutors weren't convinced. They painted him as a controlling, jealous man who had long exhibited abusive tendencies. Meanwhile, Destiney's family pushed for the harshest possible sentence. Her daughter, devastated and heartbroken, vowed to fight for justice. "He took my mother away from us. He doesn't deserve to see the outside of a prison cell ever again." As of March 2025, Frazier remains in jail without bond, awaiting trial. Prosecutors have made it clear they will seek the maximum penalty. In court hearings leading up to the trial, legal experts have weighed in on the case. The biggest challenge for the defense? the sheer amount of evidence against Frazier. 1. Police officers were direct witnesses. They saw Destiney moments before her death and engaged in a shootout with Frazier. 2. The 911 call captured her terror. Dispatchers heard the screams before the call cut off, providing chilling evidence of the crime in progress. 3. His history of control and jealousy. Witness testimony paints a picture of a man obsessed with maintaining power over Destiney's life. Even if Frazier's attorneys attempt to argue that he acted out of emotional distress, the prosecution has clear evidence of intent. Their argument is simple. He didn't snap. He planned this. As news of Destiney Carey's murder spread, the case sparked national outrage. Many question how a mother of 6, a woman who had built a successful life despite the challenges, could be killed in the presence of law enforcement. News networks covered the story extensively, with commentators dissecting the chilling details. Domestic violence activists called for tighter protective measures, questioning whether more could have been done to prevent her death. One particularly disturbing question continues to haunt the public. Could Destiney have been saved that day? The police were right outside the door. They heard the screams. They were about to enter. But in the crucial seconds between their arrival and the gunshots, Destiney lost her life. Her case has since fueled debates about domestic violence response protocols and whether law enforcement should have done more to intervene. With Frazier behind bars, the focus now shifts to the upcoming trial. Prosecutors are building a powerful case, one that will rely on eyewitness testimony from police officers who saw the murder unfold, forensic evidence proving Frazier fired the fatal shots, Destiney's own words, her last social media post as an eerie warning of what was to come. If convicted, Frazier faces life in prison without parole. Some legal analysts speculate that he may attempt a plea deal to avoid a full trial, but Destiney's family has vowed to fight for the maximum sentence. Destiney Carey's death was a tragedy that never should have happened. But as the legal battle unfolds, one thing is certain: her loved ones won't stop until justice is served. Kevin Frazier, once a respected U.S. Army Staff Sergeant, was now shackled in the back of a police vehicle, facing a murder charge that could put him behind bars for life. When officers stormed the home, they found him with the gun still in his possession. Despite being injured in the confrontation, he was swiftly restrained and taken into custody. Initial charges included first-degree murder and attempted assault on police officers. Given his military background and access to firearms, authorities classified him as an extreme risk, and bail was denied. From the moment of his arrest, the legal machinery churned into motion. His mugshot made headlines, fueling public outrage. Domestic violence advocacy groups pointed to his case as yet another example of an abuser escalating to lethal force when he felt control slipping away. The question was not just about guilt, it was about premeditation, about whether Frazier had planned Destiney's murder or acted in a fit of jealous rage. As of March 2025, Frazier remains jailed without bond, awaiting trial. Prosecutors allege that this was not a crime of passion, but a calculated act of control and revenge. They argue that Frazier, feeling Destiney slipping from his grasp, took the ultimate step to ensure she never left him. Investigators combed through Destiney's personal life, looking for signs that she had anticipated this ending. One piece of evidence stood out, a cryptic Facebook post she made just hours before her death. "Stop letting people have so much power over you." To her family and friends, the meaning was now painfully clear. Court documents detail how Frazier had grown increasingly paranoid about Destiney's success. She was gaining independence, financially thriving, and no longer controlled by him. Witnesses from Destiney's inner circle recounted disturbing details, how he constantly questioned her whereabouts, how he manipulated her emotions, and how his jealousy turned to rage when he believed she was seeing someone else. The prosecution's case was straightforward. Frazier didn't just snap. He wanted to punish Destiney for leaving him behind, and he did so in the most brutal way possible. Frazier's attorneys painted a different picture. They leaned heavily on his military service, arguing that years in the Army had left him mentally unstable. They suggested that PTSD and untreated psychological trauma played a role in his actions. According to the defense, Frazier was not a cold-blooded killer, but a broken man whose emotions spiraled out of control in a moment of weakness. They also hinted at a self-defense argument, though the details remained unclear. Could they convince a jury that Frazier felt threatened? That Destiney's actions that day triggered an uncontrollable response? The defense's approach was clear: cast doubt, humanize Frazier, and find a crack in the prosecution's case that could lead to a lesser charge or even an acquittal. The case struck a nerve, not just in Texas, but nationwide. Domestic violence organizations pointed to Destiney's death as a tragic reminder of how often abusers are given the benefit of the doubt until it's too late. Protests erupted outside the courthouse, with signs reading "Justice for Destiney" and "Stop Failing Women." Social media was flooded with discussions about how society needs to take domestic violence more seriously. Destiney's family became vocal advocates for change, pushing for stronger protections for victims in controlling relationships. They urged others to recognize the red flags and to speak up when they saw signs of abuse. As Frazier's trial looms, the stakes couldn't be higher. A guilty verdict could mean life in prison without parole, while a lesser charge might allow him to walk free someday. The outcome will depend on the strength of the prosecution's case and whether the defense can sway jurors with their portrayal of a soldier-turned-suspect. For Destiney's loved ones, no verdict can undo what happened. But they remain determined to ensure her story isn't forgotten, that her death serves as a wake-up call to others in similar situations. One thing is certain, the world is watching, and justice for Destiney Carey is long overdue. Destiney Carey had everything to live for: a thriving career, 6 children who adored her, and dreams of expanding her businesses. But all of that was stolen from her in an instant. A relationship that once seemed loving had been quietly suffocating her for years. And when she tried to reclaim her independence, jealousy and control turned deadly. Her tragic story is more than just a crime. It's a reflection of a larger issue that too many victims face. The warning signs were there: the possessiveness, the need for control, the fear she hinted at in her final social media post. Yet, like so many others, she didn't get the help she needed before it was too late. Her murder raises unsettling questions. Could this have been prevented? Should the police have acted sooner? And how many other victims are silently enduring similar dangers right now? If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic abuse, please seek help. There are resources and people who can support you. You are not alone, and you deserve safety. Before you go, we want to hear from you. What do you think should have been done to prevent this tragedy? Leave your thoughts in the comments. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Crime Scene Exposed, turn on notifications like this video, and share it with others to help spread awareness. Your support helps bring attention to cases like Destiney's, cases that deserve to be remembered.